Hello, University of Zimbabwe. Hello, Zimbabwe. Welcome to our first episode under the Talk with Sis, powered by Royal Creative Media. And today we have our very own SRSC president from the University of Zimbabwe, Mr. Lennox Machoko.
My pleasure.
And we also have my co-host, Justice Mufiri.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today we're going to be discussing on student leadership. There is the issue accommodation, guys, and then we're gonna review some of the issues as we have the talk. So, Mr. President, ndikuona makapfeka regalia yazinasu.
Ndema comrades. Revolutionary greetings, the intelligentsia. Revolutionary greetings, the creme de la creme of our society. Revolutionary greetings, the paragons of dexterity. I go by the appellation Lennox Machoko. Though the students know me as Comrade Sankara, it is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
We are really honored to have you.
Sure.
Justice.
Maybe something about your name Sankara, just a background, because we know of Thomas Sankara.
Yes,
How much motivation does he have, and inspiration does he have, and impact on you?
Yeah, he's Thomas Sankara, the former president, the late president of Burkina Faso. He's the inspiration behind the name. He's one person who I adore when it comes to politics. I really adore his kind of leadership, and I try to emulate such. He was a Pan-Africanist, he was a leader who had his people at heart. So I identify my ideology with Thomas Sankara, hence I adopted the name Sankara.
Do you like the fact that he was assassinated?
He was assassinated for a good reason. He was assassinated for saving his country. You know, it is a problem that we have as Africans. Whenever we try to save ourselves, whenever we try to save the people, there will be always somebody who's trying to pull you down. So it's very unfortunate that he was assassinated by somebody who was behind him, somebody who was his friend, somebody who was his close associate. So it's very unfortunate, and as Africans we should be sorry for that.
It becomes a warning to you.
So whenever I get to talk with people, so people say, are you aware that Thomas Sankara was assassinated by his friend? Mm-hmm. And I always say, yeah, I do know that. I do know that, but you know, it's God who knows our destiny. I always put it unto the hands of God. I cannot be in a position to know how much level of loyalty and trust that I have in my friends or those who are very close to me. But yeah, I always try to take it as a reminder. You can trust people, but always give a benefit of doubt.
Yeah, that's very true. Talking about Thomas Sankara having the people at heart, I think your SRC leadership, in a lady as a spokesperson
yes.
for the first time.
Yes.
And there's also how many ladies?
We have three ladies. One is spokesperson, one is the secretary for legal, and the other one is secretary for gender.
Like that's women empowerment.
Yes,
ladies,
yes,
you
yes.
have your position. SRC.
We are also emulating Thomas Sankara, as I quote him. He said that there is no empowerment. We cannot talk of empowerment without the empowerment of women. So yeah, we are also trying to push the agenda of women empowerment.
Well, maybe, yeah, there has to be an element of meritocracy in that.
Yeah, true. In as much as we try to push the agenda of women empowerment, I always say to ladies, you should not be in a position to always cry for positions, cry for empty or unreasonable incentives, but also demonstrate that you have the capacity. Let the appointments, let the election not be based on one's gender, but let them be based on capacity as well, in as much as we try to promote gender balances within our society. But we also advise and encourage them that they demonstrate capacity.
Yeah, that's very true. I saw one of your, I follow your statuses,
Sure,
like
thank
literally a big fan. So,
Thank you so much.
there was this other day, I saw a caption here, an MSU student he was complimenting your leadership. What have you done so far? How is it being a president? Like the last time we spoke, we were still campaigning. Now you are the president, and I'm honored to be speaking to you again.
My pleasure as well. I should start by saying thank you very much. I would want to express my profound gratitude to you and to every student of the University of Zimbabwe who participated in those elections and contributed to me being the president today. Then coming on to your question, I would say that being a president, it has been a journey. It has been very short, but it has been a journey. We have managed to do a lot of things. That has even led to people even from outside the University of Zimbabwe complimenting and commending our efforts, our leadership. So yeah, basically we are trying to do our best. We have done a lot. We have done a lot to empower the students. We have done a lot to improve the living and learning conditions of students. We are trying our best. Although, of course, there are limitations that are there, systematic limitations that are beyond our control.
Living
but we always try to...
living conditions.
Yes.
Justice.
Yeah, I think there is something about accommodation. I think this is the topic for maybe the past few days. People have been complaining. The part ones came, there was not enough accommodation.
Yes.
And you appeared on TV, you were talking about acknowledging that there is a problem in terms of accommodation. But I feel that you are coming on the cure side and not on the preventive side. And how much does that do to a leader who is supposed to be there on the planning stage? I think you're firefighting. What you're doing there is essentially firefighting.
No. You know what happens sometimes, there is, as students, you might know every step that we are taking, you might not know every effort that we are doing. But this issue of accommodation, we've been pushing it since we came into office. Every meeting, every Senate meeting, every council meeting that I've attended, we have always tried to raise this issue from June. But the institution, of course, being there as whoever they call themselves, they ignored our calls. We told them there is going to be a crisis because we know that this semester that we are going to open, a lot of students we are going to leave the blended learning form of learning, whereby people come in batches. Now we are coming almost all students at once. So we knew there was going to be a crisis. We warned the administration, we raised questions, we also raised ideas, but they ignored our ideas until the last day. That is why I was saying, sometimes it's not like the SRC is not doing its work. We are always trying our best, but of course there are systematic limitations that requires you here and me to come together to proffer solutions and make our voice be heard as a united force.
Maybe just a sneak peek into the advocation which you did for accommodation issues. You're saying we had always been trying to come up with a plan. What was the plan? Or what was your suggestion to avert this thing?
The plan is always and will always be to revert to the normal system whereby we allocate 2 students per room. We have always advocated for that, even went to an extent of saying, fine guys, if it is about COVID-19, how about if we say that students are required to get vaccinated for them to be...
But won't be that forcing students to get vaccinated?
No, it's not like forcing. This agenda is being pushed everywhere. I'm very sure that at the moment as we speak, the majority of students have been vaccinated. Whether we are the ones who force them or not, but students have been taking the call to get vaccinated, right? Being cognizant of the crisis or the issue of COVID-19, students themselves as individuals, as citizens of this country, they've been taking the call to get vaccinated. Fine, they got vaccinated. Why are we still restricting them? Why can't we just say, okay, fine, for NC1 to NC4, in the best interest of the majority who are struggling to get accommodation, we are now going to say that vaccination card, then you enter. At least it then alleviates the problem. Because sometimes we cannot deal with the minority, we deal with the majority. The majority are struggling to get accommodation. We cannot deal or be too much considerate of the minority who are saying that we do not want to get vaccinated because of their beliefs, which I would not want to argue. Everyone has got his personal beliefs, but as leaders, our mandate is to deal with the interest of the majority.
Yeah, because concerning the issue of accommodation, there was actually a student who, let me just cite what she said. SRC should stick to their manifestos after being elected into power. I'm finding it very useless to vote the next election.
Well,
how would you reply this?
Okay, fine. You know, I always say that a true leader will always accept critics. A true leader accepts divergence of views. You know, as I walk, I honestly feel that a lot of students appreciate me, appreciate the work that I'm doing. But of course, you will never be appreciated by everyone. There are those who do not see your efforts. It is not my fault, it is not his or her fault. Some students are detached from the Student Representative Council. We say follow our Twitter page, he doesn't do that. My statuses, or even just contacting the president. Another student who is saying that another contact, he doesn't know, because when it's another issue, then he or she feels like we are not doing enough. That's why I say it's not always like the SRC is not doing its work. Sometimes we do try our best. For example, the issue of accommodation, we tried our best. The other day, I went to sleep around 12 with the issue of accommodation. We were in a meeting until midnight, trying our best, even to the extent of...
Who were you in a meeting with?
The deans, the registrar, and the executive. Even to the extent of tarnishing my personal relations with those guys. I do not mind. You get it? Just because for the cause of the students. Just for the cause of students.
But I think
But sometimes it's not everyone who appreciates you. It's not everyone who sees what you are doing. And I do not blame that person. We are trying our best. You cannot expect us to achieve every point on our manifesto or every point on my manifesto in 4 months. The majority, the bigger part of the time, we were not at school. The school just opened around September. So you cannot expect us to achieve everything in a very short space of time. But what is good is then to appreciate the progress that we are moving along.
Yeah, I think it's not a matter of the critics not coming or coming. I think as leaders, you should be results oriented. And when you deliver, the people will see it, whether they are following your Twitter page or not. The people will see that you have done this.
The point is, this point I have always articulated it during my campaigns. The major problem that we have is that we vote for people. It's either the people disengage or the students themselves, they disengage. From the SRC or from, students only want to engage when it's election time. If we maintain that kind of unity, that kind of engagement that we always have during election time, we will be able to achieve a lot. Soon after elections, a student disappears, disengages himself from the SRC. Then another day he faces a problem. Then that's when he just comes and thinks, there are students who are following me, who know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. Those students, if you go and question them, they will appreciate you. They will tell you that the SRC is pushing my initiatives with regards to transport. That's welfare, my students. That's your living and learning conditions, living and learning issues. My students, we have tried our best. My students are buses are cheaper, those who stay outside of Harare. We are also pushing my efforts to make sure that we have got more buses availed for those who are non-residents. Just yesterday, my Minister of Transport, Honorable Rebot, was at the rank doing a survey to see how many students are from Chitungwiza, how many students are from Mufakose, how many students are from Epwet, so that we then have an estimate figure of how many buses do we need for this route and all that. We are trying our best.
Yeah, but the issue is what we really appreciate.
Exactly. But somebody doesn't know about transport because he got raised and he doesn't stay out of Harare. But a student who stays in Mutare really knows what the SRC is doing. You get my point? It's not everyone who sees what we are doing. I do not blame that person. I also do not want to take the blame. Because we try as much to say, guys, let's keep in touch. We've got my groups. Some other students do not want to engage in those groups. How are you going to know what the SRC is doing? Then you just come from nowhere criticizing. As a true leader, I accept criticism, you know. Yeah, it also pushes me. Sometimes we relax as leaders. When you hear one or two critics, you then say, no, let us address that. That's the point.
Okay, talking about your manifestos, like you cannot do everything on your manifesto in just a space of 4 months, right?
Yes.
You in your manifesto you said you're gonna push for students to be able to register after paying 60% of their tuition. How have you dealt with that so far? Because really just is such a good.
Okay, that issue, we are still pushing it. We are still pushing it. We are hopeful and we are still pushing it. That's what I can say. That's what I can say. But whilst we are waiting for that, we have also tried to encourage students to pay attention to my deadlines. Last semester we had an issue. Yeah, my students akanga anonoka kubhadhara fees, and they were due to defer. That was the ultimate position that was there. We had to fight for that position. I remember very well those days we were not staying on campus. All of us were. So we were actually coming from home for meetings here. I had to leave this campus around 9 p.m. And those days we had curfew. Going into town, you know, all those. Tarito, hide and seek police, you know, all those things. But what I like is that at the end of the day, those students finally, they managed to write their exams after our noise, after we advocated for them. Because the administration is saying, no, we cannot tolerate students who ignore my deadlines and all that. But we say no. In as much as you say we must pay attention to my deadlines, this is not an issue that is within their control. We must also be cognizant of the prevailing economic conditions in our country. It is not a choice to pay fees after, you know, the semester is lapsed. But, you know, there are also other factors that we need to take into consideration. And also that the president of this country is the same person who is the vice chancellor of this institution. So, it's his fault. That was our point.
Okay.
You once stated that youth needs a revolution and nothing else.
What do you call a revolution?
You're always following me. You know, I like it when students do not only vote for their leader, but students vote for their leader. They also follow him. They are also trying to make sure that they contribute to the agenda, they contribute to the vision. They also question, we should be in a position to bring our leaders to book. So then coming directly to your question, allow me to say that students all over the world are known not as conformist. The moment we become conformist to the system, the moment we normalize or accept the status quo, as students, we are no longer students. As students, we are there to challenge the status quo. That's how we impact society. That's how we impact. Students all over the world, even in the United States of America, even at the University of Cambridge, you will never see students being conformist to the system. So when I say a revolution, I'm trying to articulate a point that as students, we must be united. We must be in a position to challenge the system. We must be in a position to challenge the status quo and bring change. We are not high school students. High school students are conformist. They accept whatever that is being positioned on them or that is being, you know, imposed on them. We are the intelligentsia. We are the cream de la cream of our society. Students, students define society. Students shape societies. Students initiate and execute revolutions, in the words of Lenmo Judah Jongwe. Students are the thermostats of the society. Exactly. So it starts within our society of the University of Zimbabwe. We must challenge the system. Some of the problems that we are facing today are because of the system. Like what I was saying, there are systematic limitations that are here. it's very sad that you only realize them when you get into the Student Representative Council. That's when you get to see that, no, I had my limitations that are seated within, and I cannot be able to overcome those limitations as an individual. We actually need an overall change in the system.
I remember you commenting that even the dean of students doesn't know what
yes, it happens. Exactly. You know, it's very unfortunate with SEMA students sometimes. You might not know, but even as president, I will honestly tell you, you cannot blame me for not knowing something which even the dean might not be knowing at some point.
Okay, I think
so
sorry to cut you short.
We need a revolution. We need to change the system. It's the system that is, malfunctions.
Mr. Sankara, when you're talking about a revolution, what do you mean by revolution? Because you have your traditional system by which Malcolm X advocates for a revolution through the use of a gun. You have your Martin Luther King saying no, but we need peace, so let's have a revolution. Do you defend those guys who demonstrated out there?
Okay, before I come to that, I would want to say that what I know as a leader, from my experience as a leader, as a student leader, as an SRC president, is that dialogue has never brought us what we want. Dialogue, no, the opposite of dialogue is not violence. Violence is not the opposite of I do not want you to misinterpret me. It's not about violence, but it's about stamping our voice in a radical way. We ought to be heard. We do not have to be in a position where we act as high school students. We are appealing too much, or being conformist, saying no. We are adults. We are citizens, and we should be treated as such. We are not high school students. We are not, we are not toddlers. Exactly. There are some cases, you do not just have to accept them. And we have to refuse the imposition of such in a radical manner. That's what I mean when I
What is radical?
In a radical manner.
How radical is radical?
Radical manner.
Yes.
Okay, let me come to your question. You say that you asked what's my position with regards to the demonstration that happened a few weeks ago. Accommodation. When it's something that you cannot stop when people have grievances and people feel that those who are supposed to address their grievances are not giving them an ear or are giving them a deaf ear. Definitely, it is inevitable. In any system, it is inevitable. I would want to say that I was not supporting them, but I was supporting them. But what I know that they had genuine grievances.
Sure.
They had genuine grievances. Yes. What's the point of saying that we compromise when it comes to buses? We compromise when it comes to transportation. Students are flooding all over the buses. Students are flooding in lecture theaters. Students are flooding all over. Then when it comes to accommodation, you want to then say COVID-19. When it comes to accommodation, that's when you want to seem so sensitive about COVID-19. Fine, let the students get vaccinated. We then take vaccination cards as a requirement. But then, they had genuine concerns.
Have you suggested that to the
leadership? We started suggesting that in July to be specific. I've been coming here for meetings even when we're under lockdown. We have been suggesting that. We actually wrote a proposal, like I was saying on the interview with the ZBC. That's what we did. We talked to the whole executive, the dean, the registrar, and all of them. But they have maintained their position on the basis of COVID-19 regulations. And also, sometimes, what happens is that, as I have always said, even during my campaign, some of the problems that we face as students, they will always come back to the economics of the country. They will always come back to the politics of the country. Because some of these decisions or some of these positions, they are not determined by the dean. the dean might be in a position to say, I really understand you, my president. I really understand you. But then you see, he understands that this idea or this suggestion works in the best interest of the students. But he's not in a position to make a decision or to approve. That's why I come from a party or a union, this NASO. One of our main objectives is to fight for what we call academic freedom. When we say academic freedom, we are talking of institutional autonomy. We are talking of an institution that runs with less or no external influence. We are talking of an institution that is able to define its educational mission without, external influence, external authority or that. That's why it remains objective. Because if we manage to then achieve academic freedom, the dean is able to make a decision. All other people who will lobby here and advocate, they're able to make a decision. But some of the decisions that are made here, they're influenced by some other authorities, which I would not want to mention. That's the point.
Okay, talking about COVID-19 and how students have been roaming around looking for accommodation, do you think that has affected performance at usage? Because yes, we are now at number 2. AU has taken over here in Zimbabwe. They've taken over being ranked number 1 university in Zimbabwe.
Fine. I think I have just answered that question in the sense that our institution or our standards are deteriorating just because of one and the same reason. There is no institutional autonomy. The people who are appointed in positions here are technocrats. But then, not all of the decisions that they make are technocratic based or are based on expertise. Some of them are just decisions that are based on, external influence or something that I would not want to really mention. But you know what I'm trying to say. AU is a private university. It is not a state university. Such institutions, they have the same institutional autonomy that I was talking about. They do not make their decisions on the basis of who is behind. They make their decisions on the basis of what is right for the institution, what is right for the students. But you find that here at UZ, decisions are made on the basis of some other factors. So it then compromises our performance. It then compromises our standards. You get the point? Exactly. That's where we come back to. As long as we have not managed to achieve academic freedom as an institution or as students in Zimbabwe, then we will continue to face the same problems. And institutions like AU will continue to progress beyond us.
Okay, so contextualizing this issue about the performance of the university vis-a-vis the background of the influences that are on the institution, are you saying the current situation by which students can't connect to the Wi-Fi, students are failing to submit assignments, the lecturers themselves are failing to download assignments being sent by the students because they rely on the Wi-Fi, which is supposed to be
external?
So how external is that? How have you addressed that as well?
It's not like my problems is. Some of these, they are just internal problems. And I think in your Wi-Fi, we are trying our best to fix it. Just some few months ago, we had new routers installed. But then, as I have said when we started this interview, in Africa, whenever somebody said, I do not really remember the person who said that quote, but the meaning of the quote was saying, in Africa, whenever you try to use the right hand to assist your society, the left hand is always busy trying to stop somebody who is pulling you down. We bring ourselves down as Africans. We installed routers in Manfred. In a space of 2 weeks, they disappeared, they vanished into thin air. How can you explain that? How then do you expect the SRC president to go back to the administration and say, yes, students?
No, but this is a security issue. How have you secured the routers?
The same students who I'm advocating for,
yes,
the same students who use the Wi-Fi They are the same students who are stealing these routers. Where I stay, in a space of about 2 weeks, just in the past 2 weeks, 2 routers disappeared. And I'm living in fear right now. Because
All right, maybe. That's
my room.
Mr. President, sorry to cut you short. Society is made up of different people. We can't take away crime from the society.
But you know, yes,
So,
but as students, let
You
us
should
also
put in place proper measures, proper security measures, so that whatever you install is secure. If the government is going to say we're installing cameras on robots, but the people are stealing them, if they put enough security to secure those things.
In as much as you push for that,
Yes.
but that's another thing. But we also say that, no, as students, let us be responsible. We do not build our country. Our country is not built by the government. Our country is not built by leaders alone. We, as citizens, let us have a behavior that promotes progress. That promotes progress. Because you can now kuba something that is of help to you. Then tomorrow, the same student comes to me and say, we do not have Wi-Fi. You see, in as much as we as leaders also then find other ways to secure my resources, to secure infrastructure. But no, as students, one that we are the intelligentsia, we are the cream de la cream. Are we still the cream de la cream exhibiting or perpetuating such? You know, that's the point. But we are trying to make sure that Wi-Fi is available all around campus. But there are also some rude elements within us that are trying to pull us back. That is something that we do not want to commend.
Justice.
I will be very, very,
And,
very disappointed.
Personally, I want to compliment the SRC. There was a meeting you held with the differently abled. I like the way you used the word differently abled. I love
We do not define people as disabled. They are differently abled. In what sense? They also have their capabilities and abilities. Which are you able to read in Braille?
No, I can't.
Another student is able to read in Braille. So he has a different ability. I cannot read in Braille. I was actually amazed, seeing one of my friends who is blind. He always comes to my room without the assistance of another person. And I'm always
Which is
wondering,
awesome.
how does that happen?
Yeah.
That's an ability, that's a capability. You need to 10 meters.
You can do that. And
so
I think that's something you have done, especially in line with the disability inclusion report, which government, of course, with this terminology and going around with terms. But I think you are being relevant to national development while adopting the same to the context of usage.
I just thought that, these are, in my manifesto, I was actually mentioning that I want to be a president who reaches out to the marginalized. They are a constituency which is neglected most of the times. So I chose to be different. I engaged them to hear their concerns, and already there are some efforts that we are putting to make sure that we address some of their concerns. And I would want to take this opportunity to appeal to students, to guys, let us include each other. When we come to you saying, guys, we've got an initiative to help these people or these marginalized or underprivileged, let us take responsibility for each other. They are brothers, they are sisters. That's the point. And we are also pushing to conscientize them, to say, guys, be confident, self-esteem, so that they get included, they do not feel separated. Exactly. As he has mentioned, there's a policy or a government program which they should be included rather than separated. That is now primitive, so they learn very separated and all that. We want to integrate them into the normal systems. We want to integrate them into the society as normal human beings.
There's also a charity fund.
Yes. We are doing a charity fund for 2 of our students from that side who have demonstrated incapacity to get laptops. So I just thought,
But maybe in terms of that, we know from history that there are very unpleasant tendencies by which when you engage in charity things, some funds can just disappear. what measures have you put in place to make sure that you deliver?
Okay, the first thing is that people should trust me. I'm one guy who's very principled, and I always try to stick to my principles. But however, I've tried to make sure that I do not involve my hands in that money. We have appointed the treasurer of the trust who's going to handle all the finances. Somebody who's neutral, who's not from the SRC. Exactly. I wouldn't also want to be in a position to be tempted to. So
but they all say that.
They all say that.
We are running the trust with the initiative with 100% transparency. All my donations, everything is presented to the whole team, so that we see we are moving from this point, we are moving to this point. Yes.
And you know, the level of things in me. But guys, the level of things. I wonder this guy knows the Charles from AJU. I think it's the VP.
Oh. We were discussing about how institutions in Zimbabwe can assert their position in the global community. It was also in line with what you mentioned in terms of, we are in a position whereby institutions, tertiary institutions in Zimbabwe, they are not so high ranking. So we were just discussing around those issues, and we have seen private institutions like AU and Arub Jesut University and other private institutions actually overtaking state institutions. So I was like taking notes from them. How are you guys doing things? We know from pre-memorial time, from pre-historical time, that state institutions like the University of Zimbabwe, MSU and NAST and other institutions have been taking the lead. But we are coming to a position whereby other private players are also giving us, a good run in the game. So that was the discussion about it.
Yeah, do you have something to say to the students as our president? Sir President,
okay, fine. But firstly, I would want to welcome our wonderful and lovable part ones, our freshmen. We welcome you to the institution. We would love to work with you. Let us grow together and love your institution. I wish you all the best as part ones, as you get to discover and achieve your mission. I would also want to say that to the greater populace of the students at the University of Zimbabwe and beyond, I love you guys. Let us work together. A community is not built by one person. A community is not built over a day. And I always say that I believe that being a leader, being a president, does not mean monopoly of intelligence, does not mean monopoly of ideas. Let us come together. I'm always keen to engage everybody. Whenever you have an idea, a project that you would want to implement here at the institution, let us come together. We help each other grow. We help our institution grow, develop into a better institution. At the same time, on a larger scale, we also develop our country.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because it's gonna be a hit at every episode. We're gonna have different guests. We're gonna have a wonderful time with here at the Talk with Sis, powered by Royal Creative Media. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that notification button, because Ashagaga Wanda my episode, and here at the Talk with Sis, it's always a hit.
Sure.
We hit it.
One last please,
politicians.
Let's register to vote. Let's register to vote.
Guys, don't complicated. I'm sitting with gentlemen.
Yeah, it's supposed to be him doing that. Mr. President.
And my makeup was done too. Shout out to at Momo ZW. You can get your makeup done full face for just cheap, very cheap. $15, $10, $5. Follow at Momo ZW for looking good. Wow, I thought it was. So guys, be sure to follow us to get more edutainment conversations like these ones with prominent people at this university, even entrepreneurs, we get to learn a lot of things on different avenues of life. So thank you for watching. Peace.